Okay, hello everyone. Today we have some interesting genealogical works from Virginia and to a lesser extent Kentucky. So I'm going to go through some of these books, and if you're interested, please let me know. I'll post the link to my eBay in the description, or if you just want to leave a comment here, that's perfectly fine too. Okay, so start with first. We got the Annals of Augusta County, Virginia, 1726 to 1871. Now, all of the books came from the same person. I believe he was a medical doctor, so they're ex libris, but they're all in very good condition beyond that point. So it covers a historical county map, and this is published in Harrisburg, Virginia, by the members of Virginia Historical Society. They were from the 1960s and 70s, so a little bit of an older lot, kind of scarce material. Let me post that, hold on. So it just kind of covers more detail, and I've always found, as someone with some historical training, that giving context of historical details, data, is very useful for this kind of thing, because it gives you greater insight into life at this time period. So if you're looking for your relative or just trying to get a sense of how people lived, these are useful works. It gives sources and relations. Okay, that's one. Next, this is Wills of Richmond County, Virginia, 1699 to 1800. Wills can provide a lot of information about people in an area. So, who was owning land? What did they have? Are we dealing with upper class people? Are we dealing with people who are more modest? That sort of thing. This was published in 83. Okay, so this is a little bit later, but most of these are from an earlier point. So yeah, it goes on and talks about specific inventories, the places you can visit. Now, fortunately, with the modern time period, some of this stuff is digitized, but a lot of it's not. And so having these indexes, having these this information is very valuable, of course. So it just goes through, talks about where they're located and so forth. Okay. Next book we have is Virginia Tax Records, and I think this is quite valuable, especially for people who are doing historical research. Same owner. Some of these wares, unfortunately, they had some sticker residue to them, but beyond that, the contents are without highlighting or writing. So, Virginia Tax Records from the Virginia Magazine of History and Biography, the William and Mary College Quarterly, and Tyler's Quarterly. So, of course, people are going to be very interested in collecting this information, considering the origins of the United States Revolution and the first presidents. So it's got some letters. It's talking about the election of Colonel George Washington, 1758. Some of this is just reprinting from the magazines, but also there's a lot of very valuable data which would now be kept at genealogical societies and historical societies in the residing states. It talks about names and ledgers. Excuse me. Some of these are kind of comical, like preached in French. This one, Oath of Vestament for the parish of the Church of King William, President, people in the church record, and so forth. It's a pretty good work, valuable for historical and genealogical works. Okay, so now I got a 2-set series. This is the Annals of Southwest Virginia. It's Summers. It's a 2-parter, so we'll go through. So it talks about the different has illustrations in it too. Here, let me try to get a better grasp on this. Case talks about the court who was appointed, some locations that what case, who did what, and it just goes through this. And here's some really nice foldable maps I'll show you. Let me pull these out, and it just expands all the way accordingly. See, just multiple maps of all these locations. So here's the part. You can see, I believe this is the second one. Yep. Two parts. From 1769 to 1800. So it's the same type of thing. The court continued and held for Washington County November 20th, 1778. Present plaintiffs. Just keeps going through. Inventories and estates. All very fascinating details to people really interested in history or genealogical research. Just extend probably anthropology as well, because you can get a sense of it. Think exactly what people were dealing with in those early colonial times. Okay, here's another one. Virginia and Northern Neck land grants. So these are really early things. Let me show you. So, this goes through. Just talks about all sorts of land transfers. Yep. And the same thing with the other volume, part of a set type of thing. Overall, pretty good condition. Okay, so that's it for the Virginia stuff. Now we're going to move on to the smaller proportion. One book was quite fascinating for anybody who's interested in this region, of course, especially towards the Mississippi River. The French Protestants, their descendants, the Huguenot pedigrees by Charles E. Lart. And now this one was published, I believe, in London. Well, it was published in Baltimore, but the information comes from London, I believe. So it just follows specific names, and follows who was involved, if they were prominent, what kind of holdings they would have. So interesting stuff. Just goes through. The usage and customs of heraldry change from the century to century and in different parts of France. It just talks about it and leads up to the Bourbons and the Valois and different kingdoms and so forth. So yeah, interesting stuff. And then our last two we have on Kentucky. One of them's a Kentucky Obituaries from 1787 to 1854. This, just like it says, it talks about specific people, where their graves are, and so forth, where they died. That can be valuable for locating graves and getting some context to some of this. But it's mostly just for location information. So, here we are. Because for that whole region, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, it's very... a lot of crossover. People moved around a lot, especially during these early days. This one is Kentucky Pioneer, court records, abstracts of early wills, deeds, and marriages from courthouses, and records of old Bibles, churches, graves, graveyards, and cemeteries. So, very interesting. Talks about county records, where to find them. Talks about boxes, which can be located of such information. Now, the good thing about something like this is, although this may be old, relatively speaking, a lot of this information doesn't get moved around too much, because there's not a lot of motivation to move it to different archives. So if it's like local history, wills, this type of thing, they usually keep it in place. So this information is probably 75 to 95% still accurate for where specific locations are. So chances are, if you're looking for a specific person, it's going to be in here. It's really only when somebody very prominent is from a region, they'll move their stuff, like if they're like a major general or something like that. Prominent person buried in Arlington National Cemetery or something. Okay, everybody, that's about all. Thanks for watching. So like I said, as I will repeat, if you made it to the end of this video, this is basically mostly Virginia lot with some Kentucky in it. If you're interested, please feel free to contact me, and perhaps we can make a deal. All right, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.